Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry for the late start. I'm also slightly offended that there are so few people in this room. Should we be dancing? What have we done wrong? So I hope this is the session that you all think you are supposed to be here for, teaching digital skills. My name is James. I will be the chair for this session, and I will let the panel introduce themselves because they'll do a much better job of that than I will. I have 9 minutes to set the scene. Then we will have 9 minutes from each of our panel to talk about their various amazing pieces of work. And then if time provides, and I believe it will at the end, there will be an opportunity for some Q&A with everybody up here. Does that sound okay to everybody? Yeah? Brilliant. A little bit louder. Come on, guys. I know you've just had lunch. Yeah? Okay, so can you all hear me okay, first of all? Are everyone's accessibility needs being taken care of? Does anyone need anything additional? I don't believe there's a BSL or an international sign language interpreter in the room, but I think, is there closed captioning? Hey, there is. Okay, brilliant. So, has my 9 minutes started? How far into my 9 minutes am I? I have 8 minutes, okay. So I thought I would set the scene just by running you through a few simple things. First, it's probably best if I explained who I am and what I do. So my name is James. As you can tell from the accent, I come from the United Kingdom, London in particular. I'm very sorry about Brexit. I find that every international conference I go to, I have to start with that apology. Please don't hold it against me. I have the great privilege of working for a grant funding organization in London. It's called the City Bridge Trust. If anyone needs me to slow down, because I'm aware that English is not everyone's first language, please tell me to do so, give me a wave. So the City Bridge Trust is a grant funding organization. We are the largest independent funder in London, distributing £20 million a year within the capital. We also run a £20 million social investment unit in partnership with UBS. Aside from City Bridge, I guess one of the main reasons why I have a great interest in teaching digital skills is that I also do some work at the Mayor's office with Sadiq Khan, where I sit on 2 advisory boards. One looks explicitly at early years education and how we can improve the educational opportunities afforded to young people, especially in a SEND setting. So, when we're talking about digital skills, I think it's really important to first understand, what do we mean by digital? Because digital means a lot of things to a lot of different people, and it's a byword for just technology in general, I seem to find. I mean, for me, digital is the cloud, it's everything cutting edge, but to my parents, digital is anything more advanced than a pen. So it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and I think it's good to start with by making that clear. Why is digital so important? Why is teaching digital skills so important? In our funding portfolio, we have such an emphasis on teaching digital skills because the world is becoming increasingly digitalized. I have lost count of the number of times I have said digital in this opening monologue alone. And across your experience at this conference, I am sure if you were to play a drinking game associated with the word digital, you would not make it out of your first plenary session. We are all talking about it. If you walk down that exhibition hallway, you will see that almost every single stand there involves an element of digital delivery. There are some incredible things happening in the space of digital, and technology has really revolutionized access to independence for persons with disabilities. But as Martin Essel said yesterday, there is a very real digital divide out there. And when we talk about the digital divide, we often talk about it in terms of skills. But as we go through this session today, I would also be mindful of encouraging us all to remember that there is also a barrier of financial and cost affordability, especially if we think about some of the regions of the world, particularly the global south, where access to technology is a far rarer resource. How am I doing for time, Marcella? I'm good? Okay. So, before I hand you over to our wonderful panel, I thought I would share a little bit about one particular project that we are funding in London that I think is an amazing example of using digital to teach skills. So there is an organization based in London called Autis, and they work with people on the autistic spectrum, ASD, and they have developed a digital delivery service for teaching skills. What does that mean? They have created virtual environments, virtual classrooms, into which young people are able to create avatars for themselves, and they navigate in these virtual environments, and it's a way for them to learn tasks and skills that are transferable into the real world. So they will create a virtualized office environment, they will create a virtualized retail environment, and it has proven to be a very effective way of teaching skills to people in a manner that is very receptive for people who are neurodiverse. I am almost out of time, so I will hand over to the first. Are you a duo? You are a duo, Adriana and Regina? Am I saying that right? Am I just doing like that awful thing that British people do where they try to do the accent, but they fail miserably? Adriana and Regina, please tell us all about your amazing work.
Good afternoon. My name is Adriana. I am a researcher in education at the University of Vale do Itajai, Brazil. I used to be a software developer when I discovered the power of technologies on education, and then its potential to people with disability.
And I am Regina Hostins. I'm a professor at the education program, postgraduate program in Univali in Brazil, and I am Adriana's advisor. Univali, I think we need to exchange our university called Univali is located in southern of Brazil in the states of Santa Catarina, and we have 9 campuses located along the north coast of Santa Catarina state, 23,000 students, 2 elementary schools, and 6 schools of knowledge that offers undergraduate and postgraduate courses in diverse areas. Our project essence is to live child with and without disability in an inclusive school, create digital games in a collaborative and collective works. The process is mediated by researchers and undergraduate students from education, design, and computing. We believe that game design is a pedagogical way to develop higher process of creative thinking and to promote the inclusion of students with disability, particularly intellectual ones.
We developed a framework based on 4 steps. The first stage we call involvement. It consists in engage the students and establish a trusting relationship between educators and children. In addition, it enables educators to identify children's skills in terms of learning and relationship, pointing out guidelines for planning activities. These aspects are very relevant when the group involves children with some kind of disability. The second experience aims to increase children's knowledge about analog and digital games. The activities proposed in this stage are moments of leisure and reflection with analogical games like board games, card games, or digital, on personal computers, tablets, smartphones. The third transposition promotes the perception of the child about the process of creating a digital game. We propose the creation of games using authoring tools which are simple and accessible to the level of their knowledge. The fourth digital game creation stage consists of applying with children development techniques such as brainstorming, idea cards, experimental design, in order to define a digital game. The game implementation, led by the undergraduate students and children's collaboration, proposed that the creative process is not limited by the complex knowledge required for coding, nor the authoring tools that establish specific genres of games. Finally, children should be able to play their games. The project impacts the education and inclusion of all children as it enables creative, collaborative work, respect, empowerment, and development of digital skills. The project favors the participation and development of the higher mental process of the children with disabilities, who act in an equivalent way to the others, involving the design, development, and evaluation of digital games. The practice involves schools and university and promotes new teaching and learning strategies with the exchange between teachers and students from different levels of education. The first application involved 4 9-year-old students, including 2 with intellectual disability, enrolled in the 3rd year of the elementary school. Last year, we applied the practice at 2 different schools, involving 25 students each one. From the total, 9 students with diverse disabilities, such as autistic spectrum disorder, intellectual disability, Down syndrome. Game design workshops held at regular classes once a week for 1.5 hours during 8 months each. We created 3 games with children. The first is Toys That Create Life, the second, The Stolen Diamond, and the third is Chile on a Dangerous Mission. They are exposed in our booth number 8.
Okay, and the practices favor interdisciplinarity and the exchange between higher education and basic education. Thus, undergraduate students are also favored as they can apply and expand their knowledge studied at the university. And so, the research were financing by CAPES, CNPq, and UNIEDU. They are federal and state government agencies. The next stop is, in conclusion, our next steps will be analyze data from these 2 new practices and adapt the framework if necessary. And we intend to implement the practices in a permanent way in the schools. The first way is to implement the practices at our elementary school at the Univali as optional workshop, and we will propose to the government agents a new project to define educational policies for the practices implementation in the schools in the state of Santa Catarina. We sincerely appreciate this opportunity to present our experience and say thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, that was brilliant. I really love the element of co-creation coming through in there. I think the implementation as well into schools so that it has a permanent, sustainable future within the education system is brilliant. And I have no idea what Chile on a Dangerous Mission is, but I want to play that game. Okay, Vassilis, over to you.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you all for being here. My name is Can you hear me better now? Yes, thank you. So, thank you everybody for coming here at this strange time of the day. So my name is Vassilis, I come from Greece, and I represent Science for You. That's a Greek not-for-profit organization. Who are we? We are a technological not-for-profit organization. What we actually do is that we try to solve social problems by bringing together research results and IT technology. As solutions, we create IT tools and then offer them for free and under open source licenses. We share the knowledge associated with them, and we create communities that support them. We work on very, very different areas that range from artificial intelligence to e-democracy, but one of our major and close to our heart impact area is assistive technologies for people with disabilities that range from blindness to motor disabilities to many, many areas. As a result, as of the end of 2019, we have exceeded 100,000 beneficiaries in all these impact areas. So the question that James asked me before getting into these rooms was, why did you create them? So it was 2014, and Greece has been in a terrible crisis for more than 5 years at the point in time, and we decided to create games for the blind and with the blind, as you very well described. After a successful submission for a proposal at the European Economic Area grants, we got a go, and our initial research showed that the need was huge. There were no quality games for the blind, not only electronic ones, but physical ones as well. Especially in Greece, there was practically nothing. Children till the age of 12, they didn't come into any kind of, blind children, into any kind of, they didn't even touch a computer till this age, but they desperately wanted to play digital games. And teachers were very enthusiastic about using them in their everyday activities. So we worked with the community of the blind, with blind children themselves, to design the games, to co-create it from the first phase. What was the result? The result that we have created now 4 types of educational games that include tic-tac-toe, tennis, memory, you know, this memory card that you try to find pairs of identical cards or corresponding cards. That's a very useful tool. That we have more than 35 variations of memory games, most of which have been created by blind children themselves. Why? Because at the same time, we created a platform called Memory Studio that anybody can create their own variation of the game. You just upload pictures and sounds. You don't have to be an IT nerd, a developer, nothing like this, and you create your own variation of the game. Most of these games have been created in the blind school in Athens. So what's new about this? What are the innovations? This co-creation process was very, very significant. It led to innovative practices. First of all, one of them is the acoustic interface. We created, have you ever heard of binaural sound? It's kind of a 3-dimensional sound that gives you a false sense that sound is coming from a specific point in space. So for tic-tac-toe, we created 2-dimensional space. In tennis, there was the depth, 3-dimensional space, and we found out that sound perception is very, very subjective. So we had to create different sound sets to customize the experience and accommodate all needs. We incorporated different levels for progression to accommodate for different simultaneous disabilities. We used the keyboard because the teachers wanted to help children touch the computer and interact it for the first time. We added a friendly voice, an ally in the game, male or female. You know, boys and girls preferred either the same sex as them or different sex as them as their friend. We allowed for online gaming and the platform. And these are the key innovations, but there are more into this. All created and suggested by the community themselves. What's the impact? Okay, we have thousands of downloads in the European Union, in the US. The games are in Greek. I think that everybody speaks Greek, but we also have created English versions and Norwegian ones. We have done more than 6 tournaments between blind and not blind children that are very, very heartwarming. You know, it's not only building digital skills, but also, you know, understanding each other. And without wanting to, without planning to, a research paper got out of this due to the very interesting findings. As for the qualitative part of it, the blind children, as I said, have created about 15, 20 games. The tournaments brought people together and increased understanding. The games that the blind children created are used for people with dementia. Sometimes we're starting to work on this. And the feedback we get from teachers and kids are fantastic. I can quote one of them. I think that the benefit was that through the game we all became the same. Kids just play. Or the kids after the event of the tournament says, I'm no longer anxious, they are just my friends. Mission accomplished. How did we find money for this? A step-by-step difficult process in crisis-stricken Greece from multiple sources. It included grants from foundations, crowdfunding, and we build the sustainability on the power of the community. We have created free tools for educators. The users create new games. The Greek Ministry of Education have accepted it. The mixed tournaments keep on happening with minimum contributions from our side. And we're using this knowledge to create new solutions. What's next? We're still spreading the solutions, that's why we're here. They're all free to download, to customize according to everyone's needs. We're transferring this knowledge into new areas. We're discussing new inclusive games for blindness and other disabilities. And Memory and Memory Studio are being customized to address the needs of elderly people who are involved in a huge, for our size, European Union project called SHAPES, involving 36 partners in 14 countries for active aging. And we're reaching out for your needs, because that's all we do. We are all here. Please share your dreams with us, and let's do this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vassilis. You do realize you've got the makings of a really great indie games development studio in your hands there. Like, think of the amount of money Candy Crush makes. Surely you can do something along these lines. But seriously, I think that's absolutely brilliant. I love that you are equipping people with the tools to make their own products on this Memory Studio platform. And this bringing together of people, you know, the international aspect behind what you're doing. Quite often, digital spaces are vilified as bringing people out of the real world, and you know, sort of you have this stereotypical image of kids stuck on their phones in their bedrooms, not talking to anyone. But actually, I believe that digital spaces are as valuable and legitimate and as important as gathering places, as real places within the built environment. Did you? Yeah.
There's a very short 20-second funny story they have to share with you.
Go for it. Go for it.
So one of the tournaments included kids from below kindergarten, like elementary, below kindergarten, 4 years old, and they played for the first time online with a blind school. And a little girl came to school, one of the non-blind children, and said, look, miss, I wore my new dress because we're playing with our new friends today.
It's brilliant.
So, yes, yeah, they do create bonds even online sometimes.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much, Vassilis. And last but by no means least, Phia.
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name is Phia Damsma, and I'm the co-founder and director of Sonokids Australia. We have a very small but dedicated team, and we've been working together for more than 20 years to develop software and apps that help children who are blind or visually impaired to develop digital skills. There's the word again. So Bollyland is a suite of educational software and iPad apps. These are created around the imaginary world of Bollyland, where the Bollylanders live, who are shaped like a ball, hence the name Bollyland. One has wheels and another has a rotor, and they move in different ways. They each have an own personality and a signature sound so that children can easily recognize them even if they are blind. Children can step by step develop digital skills by working through the different Bollyland apps. And this video will give you the project details. Hello. Yes.
You know how children use iPads at home and at school for all sorts of things. If you are blind, you can also use an iPad by way of the built-in screen reader, which is called VoiceOver. To use it effectively, you need to perform specific touch gestures on the screen, which are different from those that sighted people use. Children should ideally develop these tech skills at an early age to build effective skills for learning. Sonokids identified that young children who are blind or visually impaired had no easy way of learning these skills. This meant that they were disadvantaged in education from the start. Sonokids has developed the Bollyland suite of educational gamified software and apps for iPad. Using Bollyland, children with and without disabilities can learn essential digital skills together in a playful way. Bollyland's accessible, inclusive learning platform is used around the world at home and in schools.
So the innovations, this is the wrong one. Yeah. So Bollyland is accessible educational games. It's real inclusive design, and with that we mean that blind students can become the leaders, not just followers and independent users of our games. It's hands-on, independent learning of digital skills in a safe and supportive digital learning environment. We use audio in an innovative way with original songs and stories, and we have innovative use of 3D printing technology for tactile learning tools with the digital apps. And I have one with me for anybody who wants to meet one of the Bollylanders in 3D. And specific tools have been developed with the Bollyland Code apps. This is a real-life example of the innovation in Bollyland Code apps. This 5-year-old girl who is blind already learns to program. The 3D printed Bollyland tactile learning tools create a tactile representation of the digital coding challenge. This helps to mentally map the shortest route for the coding of the car in the grid. The coding panel in the app is fully accessible. The next short video shows a boy who is blind working with the Bollyland Code app. With the coding panel open, he checks if Wheelie, the Bollylander, is in row 1, column 1 of the digital grid. He enters the code, move forward, quickly flicks through the lines of the coding panel and enters more code. He double taps on the screen and the code runs correctly. Wheelie moves 2 steps to Tinkerbell and says hello 1 time.
Selected line is line 1. Empty line.
I'm on row 1, column 1.
Okay.
Move forward. Line 2. What to do next? Move forward. Line 3. Move. Turn right. Say hello. Your code is running.
Wheelie is in row 1, column 1, facing right. He speeds up and moves forward. Wheelie is in row 1, column 2, facing right. He speeds up and moves forward. Wheelie is in row 1, column 3, facing right. Tinkerbell is also there. He says hello.
Hello, Tinkerbell. Hi there, Wheelie.
Wheelie and Tinkerbell turn around and merrily face each other.
So the boy smiles from his achievement. He now has applied computational thinking, problem solving, tactile exploration in a grid, mental mapping and coding skills, and all while having fun. Bolyland's impact is that it removes barriers for access to early learning of essential technology skills. This can greatly benefit a child's education, social inclusion and connectivity in today's digital age, and future employment, and it empowers these children. And on the photo is a young girl with multiple disabilities, including visual impairment, and she is learning and playing with Bolyland and having fun, yet again. So Sonokids is keen to collaborate and to keep developing new learning tools and applications. We have developed apps in Spanish and Dutch and for adolescents apart from young children. And we collaborated with partners, for instance, to develop a Bolyland app for Amazon Alexa voice control technology. Sonokids is a social enterprise to empower young visually impaired students by developing their digital skills and computational thinking. We rely on non-commercial funding and grants and reinvest all revenue from product sales and licenses in new projects. Our challenges are to keep the product cost low to reach as many children as possible, to increase funding to expand the Bolyland technology concept even further, improve marketing and increase awareness, and increase our team size to speed up software development because we have so many more ideas. And our next steps are to increase funding by obtaining financial support from diverse sources, non-commercial and commercial, developing partnerships with corporations and governments, creating spin-offs like Bolyland merchandise, animated TV series, toys, books, etc. But we need your assistance, please, in order to expand Bolyland to other countries, languages and software platforms, include Bolyland apps in education curriculum, and transpose our inclusive gamification concepts of Bolyland to other learning objectives, so that we can keep improving educational opportunities and access for young students who are blind or visually impaired, reach and educate as many young students as possible, and facilitate these students to become skilled, independent, and valuable contributors to our societies. So I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I hope that we can meet afterwards so that you can meet the Bolylanders. And this young boy is to connect with all the other previous speakers. We also involve young students who are blind and their parents and educators in the whole design and development process. And this boy has a particular place in our hearts because he's been involved in all the Bolyland apps and he has learned a lot of skills through Bolyland. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Phia. I really love the hands-on element of the Bolyland project that really helps to bring it into something that's tactile for children to touch and feel. I think maybe afterwards, after the session is over, we should gather everyone up together and take a selfie with your Bolylander that you've brought along with you today. The other thing that I was really struck by there was the early teaching of skills, particularly around code. Because I'm sure it's a phrase you will have often heard repeated, that coding is a language of creation, and that if we don't understand how to create, then we will only ever be consumers. So I think it's great that you are equipping kids from such a young age with such a vital skill. So at this point, I'd like to throw it open to the audience. Do you have any questions for our panel? They've given us such a wealth of ideas and information. Does anyone have anything they would like to ask? If you do, please stick your hand up in the air and I'll single you out mercilessly. No? Well, I have a question that I'd like to ask since everyone's being shy. I notice that there is a common thread of co-creation running through all of your projects. And I'm sure that this is something which is of importance to many of the people in the audience for the various things that they work on, for the services they deliver. I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing a little more detail into how you put that co-creation into practice. How do you reach the audiences that you want to work with? And how do you make sure that they are able to provide their input in a way which is comfortable for them and in a way which makes a meaningful contribution towards the development of what you're trying to do? Who'd like to go first?
we started with 4 kids, and there were only two with an intellectual disability. In the beginning, it was a little hard because they have many difficulties, but we work like to adapt the activities and to help them to comprehend the colleagues and help the colleagues, and we work with many, how I say, sorry, sometimes I forget the word in English.
That's okay, don't worry.
And, okay, with a collectivity way, with respect to their skills. And it was very interesting because two children, they don't know how to write. They were 9 years old and they don't read nor write. But the boy draw very well. So he can express by his draws, and he can participate in the game design. So I believe that it's necessary the intervention, teacher or researcher's participation to help and moderate the sessions with children.
Absolutely. I think it's using the right methodology to reach people where they are at, so that
Yes.
we are not forcing the audiences that we want to co-create to come to us, but rather we go to them. I think
Yes.
that's a really important thing.
Yes.
Vassilis, or Phia, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes. Phia has done something very interesting. They have 3D printed they have created 3D printed things so that people with blindness, I don't know if you can hear me, can first understand in the physical world how this works, and then go to to create a mental representation of this into the digital world. So that's that was the same problem we had to overcome when we had to explain to a blind child what tic-tac-toe is. You know, everybody who is not blind has played tic-tac-toe when they were young, but I had to explain the rules, that it's a 3x3 board and things like that. So we had wooden tic-tac-toe, started discussing on it, and then working with the children to say, if you were the creator of this, how would you explain it to your friends? And then we changed X and O's to sounds, your sound and your opponent's sounds and things like this. But it's, you know, the feeling is we sit together, we imagine together, we innovate together. You have to listen. And this actually, for me, would be a great lesson for people working in marketing everywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
It's when you get the skill through this process, you need to use it everywhere. But
Absolutely.
in disability, you need to start by saying, I know nothing. If you say, I know nothing, then it may lead to success.
Phia.
Yes, that's beautifully put. We build connections with educators, with the teachers of the children and the parents of the children. And apart from our own observations when we do workshops where you actually, we get the ideas from the field of the educators, like we take a particular educational objective and then we create a game around it. And at a very early stage, we bring it out. We take as a prototype that has all its faults and bugs. We take it to the workshops and we take it to parents and teachers. And children are the best because they don't lie. They just say, oh, no, I don't understand this at all, or this doesn't work, or I don't like it even. So then it's back to the drawing board and you come up with something else. And that's how we prototype our apps. And then at some point also the children already like it. It's what you told me yesterday as well. Because there is so little out there, we find that children are quickly to embrace what is there and are happy that we actually provide them with something. but we want to put the level really high. So you observe what they're doing, and you can actually see that there are things that are not really clear, or that they are doing things that we were not intending. So you adapt your design to support what you see that they're doing.
Absolutely. It's an ongoing and iterative process, always. Okay, we have a few minutes left. Come on, people, don't be shy. You have such amazing people up on this panel for you to ask questions to. Anyone wants to ask anything? No? You're all obviously so cowed by the immense knowledge up on this panel that I guess you can come and seek them out individually, one-on-one, if you want to ask any questions. I guess that leaves me just to close the session and to thank you all for coming here today. Can we have a last round of applause for our wonderful panel, please? Thank you very much.